Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, viewers of all ages, good day to you guys. Welcome back to the channel. We are returning to a part 2 video on this 2002 Ford Explorer. It's got the 4.6 liter V8, it's a four-wheel drive, automatic transmission, and the thing's got just under 200,000 miles on the clock. The customer wanted us to mechanically restore and refresh all the mechanical wear components on this particular vehicle. The reason this is a part 2 video is because the part 1 was tear down. We've got the whole front end removed out of this thing, upper control arm, the struts have been replaced. We're changing out the sway bar links and bushings, ball joints of course. We've got the old ones right here. You can see the removal of these guys back in the part 1 video, which will be listed down in this video's description. The pinned comment and a little link's gonna show up right here in the upper right hand corner. That'll take you back to the part 1 if you did not catch it or would like to refresh yourself. So we've got the front end torn apart. We're also doing brakes up there. The rear end did not get as much work done to it. We ended up only having to replace the sway bar links and the sway bar bushings back here. Those guys were falling out of it. They had the Bluetooth mod going on, and we were near metal to metal on the brakes in the back, so we ended up doing pads and rotors out back, but everything else over here was looking pretty good. Dave and Cassidy were handling the rear axle the other day, and part of the right front over here, you see Dave's pulling ahead of me a little bit. He's got this side going back together quite swimmingly. So what we're gonna do in this video is I'm gonna press this ball joint back in, finagle the upper control arm assembly back into place, install the steering knuckle and the bearing. You guys were wondering about these bearings in the first video. The comments were saying, why aren't you putting new bearings in there, considering that everything else in the front end is being done? And the reason is these are about 300 bucks a piece. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not making noise. There's no play. And you've got to stop at some point when you do these kinds of restorations. It's easy to just keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. But you've got to have the mental wherewithal to go, hey, I don't need to change that piece, or I don't need to change this piece, or I don't need to change this, this, and this. You kind of focus on the stuff that is the problem or that's going to be a problem in the near future, not everything. Because if you adopt the fix everything mentality, then there's really no logical place to stop. So that is why we did not pad this repair order bill by another 600 bucks by tossing in a couple wheel bearings. Yes, if one fails, there'll be a slight duplication of labor efforts. Yes, if one fails, it would be into the shop again sooner than expected, but I just don't foresee that being an immediate problem right now, so we're just not going to address that. Okay, so as I had mentioned in the first video, once we're done with all this undercar work, we can go ahead and let her down and get started. I'm gonna end up tearing down the timing cover on this, and we're going to replace the timing chains, tensioners, and the guides. That way this does not suffer some kind of failure later on. But for now, we're just gonna stay focusing on these ball joints here. So if you remember how we removed this, we had to have a similar cone that went around the ball joint and pressed against the control arm in order to push this guy out. We're doing something similar here, but just slightly. This cone is going to connect to the ball joint and push it in. So over here on the top side, that hurt. We need to create a little bit of space for the body of the ball joint to pass through the control arm. And then once it's pressed in, we can, how's this go? Yeah, once it's, gravity, oh, I'm going down. Once it's pressed in, we'll put the retaining clips back in and then hang the steering knuckle. I think I can do this without, no, gonna need it. Dave drug these out earlier. I'm not sure how he configured them. We're gonna do it like this. Make sure it's all lined up. And it's not lined up. I had it till I didn't. There we go. Right about like so. You guys see that? All right, loud noises incoming here. We're using the impact to run this tool down. Another thing you guys were saying in that other video is y'all need to, or I need to put lubrication on these threads here because it wears the tools out. This tool is about 20 something and some change years old. I bought it in like 2002. It's been beat on with a hammer. It's been impact gunned forever. I mean, look at that. Even the business end is worn out from tooling marks. Hitting it with a hammer up here. And it's constantly covered in some kind of lubricity. So I don't have to really apply any oil to this. It's well seasoned. Like a cast iron skillet. You don't clean it. You just keep cooking on it. There's that bottom of the joint there. Get rid of the cobweb. We don't need to press that inside. Run out of battery. I can hear it. Reload. And I believe that is in all the way. So far, so good. Let's back off the tool. Ding! And I need my other hand for this one. Let's see how we did. Oh, perfect. That's fantastic. I got plenty of space to slip my snap ring in, and that big ring on the bottom of the ball joint, this base area, has become flush with the control arm. Okay, snap ring coming in. Get up in there with the snap ring pliers, open it up, slip it down, and just tap it into the groove. Pop that guy out. Look, they come pre-greased. See that? I mentioned that because I forgot to grease those once after an install, and the comments were like, hey, you ruined it. And I'm like, nah, there's still grease in there. It's okay. It's totally okay. Now what they usually don't do is actually cut threads in these. You just sort of have to stick your grease fitting in there and just jam it in using nature's Loctite. Cross thread is better than no thread. That's the slipping wrench. Let's try this one. Also a slipping wrench. And that's because this fitting is actually 3/8 and not 10 millimeters. Right about, let's say here. That gives me a good angle for a grease gun later on to come in here and re-grease those. So that's good to go. So now, let's go ahead and fetch the spindle, get that up and over the ball joint stud, bolt it on, slip the axle in through the hole, and then we'll get the hub assembled. So here, let's take the axle out of its holder. Put that right there. There's our spindle. And we're going to slide that over the ball joint stud down below. Take the nut. You guys can't see. Still can't see. Now you can see sideways, kind of. That guy on right there. Now the spindle cannot fall out. See that? So we're good here. Center that guy up. Okay. So let's get the upper control arm hung into place next, and then we'll set all that up and then put the bearing back in. That's good. Very good. So when I removed this control arm, it was kind of a struggle. A little bit of flexing. And I realistically expect to struggle putting it back in very much. I don't expect it to come out easily or go in easily, because it did not come out easily, and it required the use of pry bar and a whole bunch of manipulation. So let's see. I need to get it a little bit past this fender liner here. Yep. There's also the stud sticking out of the top of the strut assembly, which is kind of jamming me up. Ha 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 ha. That totally works. It fell right into position. Okay, so I stand corrected. It was harder to remove it than it was to install it, which is fantastic. You hear that, Dave? This thing just went right in.
Yeah, that's how this side was.
I could barely get it out to save my life earlier. Anyway, these little guys here, you see how that hole is slotted and this control arm can move around? That can be useful for changing alignment angles. For example, if we go in, change camber, out camber. If we go forward or backwards and move this back, that changes caster, and that changes caster. These guys are supposed to set up the studs centered in those slots, and we can remove them later if need be in order to make some adjustments. So all I need to do is just re-slot it. I know. I need to maybe hook this in and then put the stud through the hole. Or maybe it goes this way. Yeah, there's two little slots in there. There we go, that's it. I figured it out. I had it 90 degrees in the wrong direction. But yeah, with that little shim thing in there, this is located pretty decently. There's a little bit of room for adjustment, but not much. I'll remember that later, depending on how much adjustment may or may not be required. So here, let's go over here to the front side. Get that one slipped in. There we go. Once you get the angle of your dangle right, it's easy to just stick it right in there, isn't it? That's good. All right, wobbly bit coming up. Beautiful. Okay. Round over here on the back side next. Scooch on over. Move this brake hose. See, I've got to slip this in at this angle here. I can't get on it. Need a thinner socket. Here, trying this again, we got a stubby wobbly bit. There we go. Click. All right, now we're cooking here, folks. Big time. So what we'll do is pry bar this control arm down. We need to pry bar it down because the bushings on this are super tight, and I can't flex it like I could the other side. Pry down on it, studs coming through. Just gonna throw a nut and a washer on the stud. There we go. All right, now it is secure. Beautiful. So that upper control arm box must have been shipped in USPS because the box was damaged and I'm missing the grease fitting that goes to this ball joint. So I'm going to reuse this grease fitting that came off of the old lower ball joint. There's nothing wrong with it. The end looks good. And this one's at a 90-degree angle, which will make for better lubrication. So we're just going to put this one in as opposed to the straightforward one that normally would have come with the kit. And right about, we'll do right there. Perfect. It is now hub bearing time. Let's get some of that debris out of there. Let me wipe this out. I just saw some dirt stuff in there. I don't want to put the hub back in with dirt in the way. So here, let's chemically wipe this thing off. Then manually wipe it off. There we go. There's silicone on here. That's weird. I moved the dirt and found the RTV. Very good. Clean out the thread holes while we're here. Shiny. Okay, wheel bearings coming in next. Now, very, very important that we take note on the direction of the wheel speed sensor. There's a triangle shaped flange here. Theoretically, you could install this thing in this orientation, or this orientation. Two of those are wrong, because if you install it in the two wrong orientations, you will not be able to put the wheel speed sensor back in position. And that would be bad, because then you gotta take it apart all over again. Do it twice. There we go, slip that on, and I'm gonna toss the axle nut on there. We're gonna obviously leave it loose so we don't forget that it's loose, but I'm gonna put that there. Gives me something to push against so I can get the bolts in the back of the hub and thread it in. Yeah, these bolts interfere. Well, forgive me, the axle interferes with the bolts a little bit. See that? Yeah. Push that out. There we go. Push that one in. And there's another one a little bit higher up right here. All right, I had to kind of fix a camera mount. My Flexi GoPro mount is having technical difficulties. It appears I've worn it out, and the friction properties are no longer present. Yeah, let's thread that one in. Now, one more on this back side, actually front side. Spin this guy around. And then our third bolt right down there in the hole. Pretty good. 15 millimeter wobble bit. Here, I need to maybe push the axle back a little bit, like that. Oh, my gun's turned down too. How'd that happen? Let me fire this thing back up. Click. Get the top one while I can reach it. I think I can reach it. There. Now you can see me reaching it, kind of. That one's on. That's 2 out of 3. Give me this thing back. And we'll turn it and get that last one. Oh, the children have returned. I hear them. They were with their grandparents all weekend, and now they're home. I missed you guys. Okay, last one. Clickage. All right, bearings in position. So now we're in a position where we can tighten up the ball joint nuts, tops and the bottoms, this nut here, and then we'll throw the brakes back together. Okay, while we're here, let's knock out this bottom unit right there. Let's find the hole and get the bolt lined up. There it is, see the hole? Almost perfect. There, that's perfect. We have to do that in order to align the cotter pin. Push that guy through. Here we go. Put some pliers. Take some pliers, bend that pin down. These will do. There's 10,000 different ways to bend out a cotter pin, and I do this my way. That's how I like to do it. Just like so. Some would say that's correct, some would say that's not correct, and some would even say that's not even a cotter pin. They would call it a split pin or a bobby pin or something else besides whatever I called it. Okay, upper ball joint time. Now, you guys saw me put that nut on. That's actually the nut from the older ball joint. And the newer one, the new system came with this nylock nut right here. See how it's got that nylon insert in the middle of it? That nylon insert serves as a locking feature so this nut can't back off. So what I'm gonna do with the pry bar up here is we're gonna pry down on this control arm again, and I'm gonna take away this castle nut. We can't use this because there is no hole in the stud to serve to lock the nut in with a cotter pin. So we need to use a different one. That's about 17 or 18, that's 17 mils. Now what's probably gonna happen is this ball joint stud is going to want to turn, right? So if it turns, what I'm gonna have to do is pry this control arm down until it seats in the top of the knuckle here, and that should make enough friction on the stud to prevent it from rotating. But I'm gonna try to just tighten it down as it sits. If there's enough friction, it'll work. I think we're good. Click. That one's all set, beautiful. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run down the axle nut here. I used totally the wrong size socket. We will torque that later. Okay, before I throw the brake hardware and whatnot on, let's slip the tie rod back into position here. I will have to locate a replacement cotter key / pin later on. Cass, what you need, man?
He's gonna give me a call back.
Why?
Because the VIN he pulled was different than the one I read.
You know, they just programmed that car like last week.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why they can't program it. They're being silly.
They're being silly.
Why are they trying to tell you no?
I don't know. Maybe because it's not you.
All right, that doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't.
There you go, that's lined up.
He's like, I don't know if we'll be able to do it, but
Okay, but they did it last week.
yeah.
So I know they can do it again. All right, well, let me get on the phone with them when they call you back. And I'll tell them that I'm more knowledgeable than they are and that they're gonna install the program. Why did he say, how does the VIN not match? The new ECM has no VIN on it, and
I read him off the VIN, and he said this is different than the one we pulled.
no, then you may have read the VIN wrong, because I know that the VIN to the car that he's pulling the VIN number off the BCM,
Yeah.
not the ECM, because the ECM is blank.
Right.
So I know he's pulling the VIN off the BCM. We've never touched the BCM, and I know that the VIN verifies because we just did a programming sequence last week on that. So don't let him tell you no. Just no. That is an unacceptable answer. This one. You see the kind of stuff I got to deal with? Anyway, cotter key going in the hole. And this makes it for an interesting cotter key installation. The pin is longer than the space. Let's do that. Oh, I stabbed you guys with some pliers. There we go. Good to go. Nice and safe. Okay, so let's take this assembly, get it turned this direction. Then we'll hang the rotor, the bracket. Oh, wait. First, I need to install the wheel speed sensor.
I just checked the job
don't look at the job board, look at the car.
I looked at both.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying I looked at the car and then I went to look at the job board to double check.
Okay.
And it matches. I don't know what he's on.
Don't worry about that guy. He's reading off of a script anyway. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I need some lube. That won't go in very easily. I pushed it in enough where now it doesn't want to come out. There. Go in. Let's try this. There, now it's in. Okay. Torque achieved, there we go. And then we'll take this and stick that back in that little slot there. Haha, you've all been duped. I have fooled you into another brake job video. Haha, haha. Doo-doo-doo, time clock. All right, so next, let's go ahead and hang the brake caliper bracket. Just 2 bolts. There we go. All right, moving on a little bit. Let's go ahead and pry these shims out. Those are the anti-rattle shim deals. I'm gonna put some new ones in. They came with the brakes. Now sometimes you get these shims in there. It depends on like the quality of pad, but sometimes these shims just do not fit, and you're better off using the original ones. Now let's push that back. We'll feed shim number 2 in here. Now what matters on these is this inside little clip business here. That's what retains it. We've got to push this clip into those ears in the bracket, like so. If you don't have those clips pushed in all the way, they can contact the rotor and it'll make a squealy noise as the rotor turns, and that's not good. Okay, 2 brake pads coming in. Now you see I didn't put any grease on that. You guys know why? Because we don't need it. There's no rust here in Florida. And it's unnecessary. Additionally, the grease can melt when it gets hot. It'll run down and contaminate the pad and the rotor, causing a reduction in brake efficiency, and that's also bad. So, now we can take our caliper here. We're gonna give that a flip, and we need to depress the 2 pistons back into the unit. Okay, little compressing device. It's like a caulking gun, kinda. This one's Dave's, not mine. I have the ratcheting style, but this one also works, but requires a little bit more flangey pressure, especially on a dual piston caliper. The other calipers are already back on, so I don't run the risk of pushing a caliper out. I do run the risk of pushing brake fluid out of the master cylinder though. Watch. I squeeze this in, brake fluid comes out. See it running down? We'll clean that up in a minute. Yeah, there's some down there in the control arm. Yeah, that happens, no worries. So, before these go on, let's re-grease the slide pins, because those are Crustomatic nasty. Give this guy just a quick wipe, get rid of some of that old nasty rust looking grease. Rust being the color, not the metallic composition of the grease. Let's throw some on there. A little bit on there. wipe away the extra. There we go. We don't want to put a twist in the brake hose. That's also bad. Slip this guy in. There we go. Bottom one. Excellent. So now we can take this wheel speed sensor that we disassembled the other day, put this back where it goes, and we'll plug it in its connector. Now, if memory serves, we had to wrap this thing around this control arm, or behind it or whatever. You guys see up there? No. There you go. There's our connector. There's barely enough slack for me to get access to it. See it right there? So we're gonna plug her back in, and then under the hood on the top side, I'll put that connector back in its secure location, which is like right up here somewhere. Okay, that's pretty good, says I. Got one more little mount thing that I missed under the control arm. Bear with me, let me hook this thing up. Snap it in, that's good. All right, we're all set here. Except for one thing, that brake fluid. And that fender liner right there. Nice and shiny. Another. Alrighty, I think Dave was waiting on me. Dave, I'm all done over here. Are you, you're not even here anymore. So anyway, Dave's got his side done. Got one tie rod to put on. I think he was waiting on me. Control arm is in. The bushings are part of it. That's tight. That's been greased. This is tight. We've got to do sway bar bushings. Dave was doing that, so I'm just gonna go ahead and step away and let him have the rest of the job. That's what he was working on, because later on, I'm pulling this engine down to do the timing chain on it. So that's gonna end up being probably the part 3 and part 4 on this particular truck. I don't know, let me guys, or let me know what you guys want to see in the comments down below. Would you like to see the timing chain operation, or is that a meh? Seen plenty of them on the channel. Let me know. I do read the comments. I reply to as many of them as possible. But yeah, what else would you like me to demonstrate on this particular exploder? We are going to do a wheel alignment on it afterwards. I may or may not video that, depending on what you guys think. So weigh in your opinions in my comment section. Do not forget to engage that like and subscribe button while you're down there. I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. I think I have nothing more to offer on this particular operation. We got just a little bit of stuff left to do, and then it's coming down and going back out of the knife. So I will see you guys in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you being here all the way to the end. And before I go, I would like to remind everybody here to not forget to have yourselves a fantastic day. See you guys later. End of part 2 on the Ford Explorer. End of day, end of video, end of transmission.